Well, Joey, in this video we'll look at how to use the steering wheel to move a part in an assembly in Solid Edge. We'll look at how to do a steering wheel move by distance and a steering wheel move by geometry. We'll also look at some assembly relationship options that we are given when we do a steering wheel move, like the do not repair unsatisfied relationships option and the remove all external relationships and add new relationships to other components option. So I'm going to click on this part and our steering wheel here appears. If the steering wheel doesn't appear for you, you can click on the Move on Select button in the Home tab. So I click on the center of the steering wheel. I'm going to position our steering wheel on the center of one of the pegs. And we want this peg to be aligned with this peg here. So another kind of similar kind of mindset thing we could do on a traditional CAD package is to go to Inspect and measure the distance we want to move. So I can measure from the center of this peg to the center of this peg is, let me see, the true distance is 16.32 millimeters. That's 0 in the X along the X axis, 16 in the Y, and then a difference in height of minus 3.2 millimeters. So we can ignore the distance of height because we're moving it at the same height, just 16 millimeters in the Y direction. Okay, so we could manually then click on this part, move our steering wheel, it doesn't even matter where it is as long as the axis is aligned in the right direction. And if I click on this arrow, we're moving in the direction of that arrow, and you see the value we're moving as 6.44 millimeters away, and I can move in the other direction. Because the distance we're moving is highlighted, I can type in 16 and press enter, and then we get this assembly relationship options dialog. But I'm just going to press cancel for now, and I'm actually going to press X and undo that. Okay, so that was fine, we could do that, that's totally fine, there isn't a problem with doing that, but you're kind of doing things, you're making things harder than they need to be. You're kind of putting mental overhead on yourself, trying to take measurements, deciding how much you want to move it. So instead I'm just going to click on the part again, click on the center of the steering wheel, and I'm going to move the center of the steering wheel to the center of this peg. And again, this is our from point for the move. Our from point is the center of this peg, and we want the center of this peg to be in line with the center of this peg in here. Or let me see, from this side, the center of this peg. Okay, and if I click on this arrow, again, we're moving the part, and you can see it kind of snapping to the center of the peg below here. That's 8 millimeters, and go to the next one would be 16. I'm just trying to get an angle so that I can see the center of that peg, and it's actually difficult. So because we know this is built with a system, I don't even need to select the center of that peg because I know the center of this peg is directly above it. And also, because we're only moving in the direction of the arrow of the steering wheel, I could select the center of this peg. That would also move me 16. Any peg along here is 16 millimeters in this direction. Because we're moving in this direction only, the X and the Z coordinates are ignored. But I'm going to just choose the center of this peg. And now we have our assembly relationship options. So we have different options here on repair or replace. So the top option, do not repair unsatisfied relationships. And I'm going to click OK. And so for the affected relationships, they must either be deleted or suppressed. So the tidiest way, if you're doing something and it's final, you could choose delete, and that just completely removes the assembly relationships. Or you could choose suppress to temporarily do it. So normally I'll choose delete, but in this case I'm going to choose suppress. Again, I'm going to ignore this for now and click OK, and click OK again. Alright, so let's see what's happened. So now we can see our plate has moved. We've moved it over to the other side of our tower, and if I press Ctrl and Q, we can see the rest of our assembly, and here's our walkway. It's no longer interfering with this plate. So we've done what we wanted to do. Just press Ctrl and Q again to hide the rest of the assembly. And if I click on this part, maybe I'll just right click on it and choose scroll to, and we see the part here, and we have these blue lines around it saying it's not fully constrained anymore. So I can click on the part, look down here, and we see all of these relationships we used to have that are now suppressed. So now we have the plate exactly where we want it, and we have the blocks above it exactly where we want them. But in order to get there, we suppressed assembly relationships, which means these parts are no longer fully constrained in the assembly. We could unsuppress these assembly constraints, but our parts would go back to their original positions before the move. Instead, we could begin applying assembly relationships to fully constrain the plate and blocks above it in their new positions. Alright, so let's take a look at another approach. So we can click on the part, click on the center of the steering wheel, and move the steering wheel to the center of one of our pegs here to get our from point. Click on this arrow, again move it to another peg, and this time we can try remove all external relationships. So it sounds a little bit like the nuclear option, so Solid Edge is deleting all assembly relationships with this part, and then it's going to search for relationships with other parts that we select. So I'm going to click OK, and if we look up here at our prompt bar, select the components to find relationships to. If we only choose these two parts here, the best Solid Edge can do for us then is to constrain this plate within the assembly, but all relationships of all of these parts above the plate will have been deleted in the move. So all of these parts up here will be free to move. So we're going to search for relationships to each of these parts above the plate too. Alright, so I'm going to click accept. I'm going to ignore this conflicting relationships dialog for now and click OK, and I'm going to click OK again. Alright, and now let's take a look at our plate. So if I click on the plate, we can see it highlighted here within the pathfinder, and it's interesting to see there's no blue lines around it, and there's no blue lines around any of the other parts, and all of the assembly relationships look good. And we could just confirm that, I suppose, with drag component, click OK, and our part won't move with a freeform move, and these parts here don't want to move either. We are at the select part step of the drag component command. It won't let us select the plate or the parts above it because they are fully constrained. It will only select a part that isn't fully constrained. All of these parts are fully constrained, so we can't even select them to move. We didn't look at the different repair unsatisfied relationships options within the assembly relationship options dialog box because this wasn't a good example to use these. If you would like a video on them, let me know in the comment section and I'll add it to the to-do list if there is enough demand. In our next video, we're going to fill in the rest of the gaps around our tower here. That's it, Joey. Talk to you in the next one.